Herrmann's empty stool. A Chicago fire tragedy. The familiar clink of glass, the low hum of conversation, and the gentle glow of the neon signs at Molly's pub usually brought peace to Christopher Herrmann. It was his place, his comfort zone. But tonight, the bar felt hollow. The laughter from the regulars was quieter. The air was heavy, even suffocating. And the stool at the far end of the counter, the one Cindy always sat on when she visited, remained painfully empty. Herrmann stood behind the bar, polishing a glass he had already wiped 5 times. His hands moved mechanically, but his eyes stared past the bottles, lost in thought. The room blurred as memories of her flooded in. Cindy smiling with a glass of wine, teasing him about his beer belly, waving him over when she brought the kids. Just 2 weeks ago, she had kissed him goodbye before his shift at Firehouse 51, promising lasagna for dinner. "Don't be late or it'll be cold," she'd said. He remembered chuckling, grabbing his gear, and yelling out, "I love you," before the rig doors closed. He hadn't known that would be the last time he'd see her alive. It had started like a normal call, a structure fire on the south side. Herrmann, Cruz, and Severide led the charge into the crumbling building. Smoke was thick, and time was short. They saved a family of 3. Everyone praised them. But while Herrmann was inside that inferno, Cindy had suffered a sudden aneurysm at home. The kids found her unconscious on the floor. By the time the paramedics arrived, there was nothing they could do. Herrmann had gotten the call while still covered in soot, standing in the firehouse kitchen with a coffee mug in hand. He remembered the way Bowden's expression changed, how the chief's voice wavered when he said, "Chris, it's Cindy." The mug had slipped from his hand and shattered on the floor. The days that followed were a blur of hospital halls, funeral arrangements, and trying to be strong for his 5 kids. Everyone kept telling him, "You've got to stay strong for them," but Herrmann didn't feel strong. He felt broken. Mocha tried to help by taking shifts at the bar. Ritter brought food. Cruz checked on the kids. Even Severide, not one for words, showed up with groceries and sat with Herrmann in silence one night. But none of it filled the void. Herrmann found himself back at Molly's sooner than anyone expected. Not to work, just to sit, to remember, to forget. The regulars offered nods of sympathy. Stella brought over a meal she knew Cindy used to love, but all of it felt like noise. He turned his wedding ring around his finger again and again, staring at her stool. "Still saving you a seat, babe," he whispered. One night, about a month after the funeral, Herrmann found himself in the firehouse locker room, well past shift. Everyone else had gone home. He sat on the bench, staring into his open locker. Her photo was taped to the inside door, Cindy, laughing in the sun, holding one of their kids on her lap. He reached out and touched it with calloused fingers. "I don't know how to do this without you," he murmured. He heard a sound behind him, soft footsteps. He didn't have to look up to know it was Chief Bowden. "I figured you'd be here," Bowden said gently, sitting beside him. "Been a long day." Herrmann nodded. "They all are." For a moment, there was silence. Then Bowden added, "You don't have to carry this alone, Chris. We're your family, too." Herrmann's shoulders trembled. He didn't cry. He hadn't let himself yet. But his voice broke as he said, "She was everything, Chief. She kept me grounded. I go home now, and it's just echoes. I hear her voice everywhere. I keep thinking she's in the kitchen. Then I realize she's not. And she never will be again." Bowden placed a firm hand on his shoulder. "Grief's a heavy thing, but you're not alone in it. The kids need you. And we, Firehouse 51, need you too. Not as the tough guy, but as the man Cindy loved." Herman turned to him, eyes red-rimmed. What if I don't know how to be that man anymore? Bowden gave a quiet nod. Then we'll figure it out. One day at a time. The next shift, Herrmann came in early. He cooked breakfast, just like Cindy used to make on Sundays. Eggs, pancakes, bacon. Everyone knew what it meant. Nobody said anything. They just sat and ate, quietly honoring her. Later that day, they got called to a car accident. A teenage boy was pinned inside, panicking. Herrmann crouched beside him, holding his hand, whispering reassurance as the others worked the cutters and spreaders. "You're gonna be okay," he said gently. "I've got you." The boy, shaking, looked into Herrmann's eyes. "Are you a dad?" Herrmann hesitated, throat tight. Then he nodded. "Yeah, I am." Something inside him steadied. The ache didn't go away, but it shifted, slightly, into something more bearable. That night at Molly's, Herrmann poured 2 drinks. He placed one in front of Cindy's stool and sat across from it. He didn't speak. He just sat in the silence, letting the memories rise and fall like the tide. Mouch walked over, wiping his hands on a rag. "Mind if I join?" Herrmann nodded. They sat in silence together. "I miss her too," Mouch finally said. "She always made sure I didn't eat too many pretzels." Herrmann chuckled softly. "She said you were a walking heart attack." "Still am," Mouch smiled. More people trickled in, Ritter, Stella, even Gallo. No one made a big deal. They just quietly surrounded him, filling the room with the warmth of the family he still had. Herrmann started talking about Cindy again, not just in whispers, but in stories. He shared her jokes. He kept her photo on the back wall of Molly's with a plaque beneath it that read, "Forever our heart." He still missed her. He always would. But he began to laugh again. He showed up to the kids' school plays. He argued about rig maintenance with Severide. He scolded Gallo for being reckless.